So good evening, everybody. After a fall semester and a spring semester, we have come to our very last What's Up Wednesday. Hopefully everybody has participated and has gotten lots of good information about how to be a Virginia Tech student and all the different opportunities we have. Our last session, we've got some students here tonight that are going to share with you all the student perspective on housing and dining. There's a lot of information out there. Some of it is correct, some of it is not correct about these two topics. So we're going to give you sort of firsthand information and perspective from the students that we have on tonight. For this session, I'm actually going to turn it over to Perry Martin, who is director of both the Pathways Pre-College and College program, as well as our Digerati Living Learning Community. And I'm going to let him moderate today's session. Again, you know where to find me, find us, find Seed. So if anything comes up later, please feel free to reach out. All the guests on here probably have more emails from me than they can count. And we definitely hope to see everybody on the screen back with us again in the fall. And I'm going to turn it over to Perry.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. See some names I recognize, and for context here, we have students that are joining us tonight from our Digerati Living Learning Community, which is our brand new living learning community started this year in Pritchard Hall. And so certainly you'll get their perspective on their first year at Tech in terms of their dining and living on campus. As always, you're more than welcome to raise your hand or post something in the chat if you have a question. Keep in mind if you're posting something in the chat to post it so everyone can see it. I'll start tonight by having our Digerati folks introduce themselves, including what they're studying and where they're from. And you may be familiar with some of the same communities as you. So I'll just call on you, and if you would just say what you're studying and hometown. Nolan, I see you up. You're first on my screen.
All right, I'm Nolan. I'm from Yorktown, Virginia. I'm the coast, and I'm studying national security.
Okay. Then we next have Joe Moore.
Hi everyone, I'm Joe. I'm majoring in business and IT for cybersecurity, and I came from my hometown of Woodbridge, Virginia, in the Nova area.
Okay. Next up, I see Rhett.
Yeah, I'm Rhett, and I'm studying computer science, and I'm from Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay. Then we see Christian.
Hello, I'm Christian. I'm from Gloucester, Virginia, and I'm studying data-centric computing.
And finally, we have Alex, who joins us tonight. Alex's camera is broke, but he takes a very good picture. So, Alex, if you want to introduce yourself. Alex, we're not hearing you if you're trying to talk.
I just realized I had the mute on my headset on. Hello, I'm Alex. I'm currently studying CMDA, or Computational Modeling and Data Analytics, and I am from Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Good deal. Okay, so the way we'll do this format, again, as you've seen from previous, this is certainly a chance for your time here and to guide anything that you need us to answer, enlighten more. So again, feel free to post questions in the chat. To kick us off, I will kind of moderate some questions that I would assume everyone would have on their mind. And so I want to go to my students here on the screen. If you think back, all of these students that are on the screen are first year students here at Virginia Tech. This time last year, you all were beginning your acceptances and signing your housing contract. So if you could describe a little bit your perspective on decisions you made in terms of where to live on campus and decisions, kind of how the process works of housing, the system that you worked with was easy, what was hard. And just talk a little bit about as you accepted tech, what your next steps were in terms of your housing decisions, how you went about making those decisions. And go
You
ahead.
want me to start again?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I know after I accepted my admission, I think it was about a week later that the housing contract opened, and at that point I was still, the big thing for me when it comes to housing was I was torn between doing an LLC and not doing an LLC because I wanted to do Digerati. However, I heard that Pritchard Hall wasn't the best hall, so I got kind of scared at first. But yeah, I ended up doing Digerati, and I'm very thankful. I'd say, for just as advice for anyone coming in, don't be scared of the dorms. If you want to do an LLC in any of the dorms, go ahead. I think it's great no matter what, because no matter what, you'll have that community around you. So even if like the rest of the dorm isn't the best, you'll still have that solid group of people. And even that said, like the dorms are not that bad.
I guess I could probably
Yeah,
take over
any
from
others
there
want to share?
too.
Go ahead, Joe.
So I definitely agree with him on the ideal that when you choose your own dorm, being honest, how I went about it personally, I didn't know any single dorm. I didn't know no rumors, which one was bad or worse. I went with chance, and honestly, I'm pretty glad I got this one too. But it's also looking at the fact that it doesn't really matter necessarily how nice or different the dorms are. It's still a college dorm. So there's always going to be some type of areas or just honestly people that may just enjoy the college experience more than others in a way. But no matter what, you'll still have a tight-knit community when you join an LLC. And that was what I was looking for when I applied. And honestly, I'm pretty grateful for lucking out, I guess.
So I think a big thing that people don't realize when they come to college, it's not where you live, it's who you're living with. When you look on Reddit and you Google, let's say Pritchard Hall, and you look at all these comments, and they're like, Pritchard Hall is horrible, there's parties every day. Well, it's not that the Pritchard Hall is throwing parties, it's that the people living in that building are throwing parties. So, as I said, you can be actually, I went over to CID the other day. I was watching a performance, and I was like, CID, for those of you that don't know, is supposed to be like the Taj Mahal of housing on campus. And I was looking at the hallways, and in terms of cleanliness, it didn't look very different from any other dorm I've ever been in. It's like, so it doesn't matter that building, let's say, is, let's say $500 million. The people that are living in it are very different than what you would expect inside of that building. So picking a community, which is what an LLP offers, is very helpful. I would also like to note that more on like the process of getting things rolling when you're incoming the tech. Sign your housing contracts as soon as possible. So make your applications. So for LLPs, I believe LLPs filling out the application is before you sign the housing contract. I believe that is how it goes. LLPs, I highly recommend you apply those as soon as possible. Especially like, for instance, at Digerati, we don't have a lot of space. So in the LLPs like to see that, that initiative that you are, you're taking initiative, you're going into an LLP. So get that housing contract over, because everything moving forward, such as your roommate selection process, and your general room selection process, because rooms do matter. Which room you pick, like, is preferable. You don't pick a room by a bathroom. That is all timestamped. So when you sign your housing contract, it's almost like you are stepping into line to do all of these things. Move in, for another example. I prefer moving in earlier. I think it's less crowded and it gives you time to enjoy tech. So I always stress, anytime I talk to someone, deal with your housing as soon as possible. Do not delay.
furthering what Christian said, of course, get everything done as soon as possible. The more time you have to determine truly what you need to do, the better, as you can further do that. On another note, the living learning communities are very good in putting you together with people of similar interests, of similar studies. So that is definitely beneficial than just simply picking a dorm and living there. Especially if you're more of the less social student, you'll still be able to get to decently know your peers. And who knows, maybe you'll make great friends with them. Maybe you can use them as another resource to further your studies. Overall, truly just get to know the people around you. Get your paperwork in as soon as possible so you can get your time slot, you can get your PokePass, you can get your everything you need to truly function in Virginia Tech.
So I was kind of in the same boat as a lot of these guys in that, like, I'd heard a lot of bad things about Pritchard, and it kind of scared me away from applying to this LLC because I knew it was here. But now that I've lived here, I'd say definitely do not let that scare you away. Like they said, it's the people you live with, and because our hallway is almost completely Digerati students, freshman engineers, everybody's here is chill. They're not the ones making messes. It's people from other floors causing problems. So definitely don't worry about Pritchard. One great thing I can say about Pritchard is that it's right next to one of the best dining halls, D2. So I can just walk right out the door when I'm hungry, get some food, and walk right back. I don't have to walk all the way across campus. And at the end of the day, even if you do have a bad experience or two in the dorms, it's all part of the college experience. You know, you can look back on it in 20 years and talk about what a fun time you had with your kids.
So what I'll do just to kind of wrap up again the conversation and go over some terms here. And you hear like LLC or LLP, that stands for Living Learning Community or Living Learning Program. When you sign your housing contract, you're given the options of type of housing you're looking for. At Virginia Tech, roughly around, I believe it's something like 3,900 students of the on-campus students live in theme housing. Theme housing can be centered around different topics. So, for example, if you wanted an experience of learning different languages, or you wanted more of an arts experience, if you wanted something related to faith-based communities, you can apply for a theme housing. And when the reference to Digerati is our community that's focused on information technology. And so we're a community of 40 students. We, again, are on the fourth floor of Pritchard Hall. Relevant to those that are looking at engineering is we have 3 living learning communities, Galileo, Hypatia, and Digerati. All of those communities will be moving into Pritchard Hall next year. And so Pritchard Hall specifically will be the housing of basically all of our engineering community. There will be some renovations happening over the next 3 years to Pritchard, including individual rooms where there'll be new lighting, some new fixtures. Already the lounges are actually rather good in Pritchard Hall. There's some good spaces there in terms of just general area. Yeah, Christian notes new sinks coming, things like that. So the things you want to consider again, as you consider housing is what type of experience are you looking for? There are different price points to residence halls. So one thing to be prepared for is as you look, and Christian referenced the CID district, which is the newest residence hall on Tech campus, has many amenities to it, but it also is more expensive to live there. So do keep that in mind as you're navigating the finances of college. Look at what the price points are for different buildings. There are, and I see Venetia, you have how many residence halls are there and what is an LLP from Norbert. So I may get one of my guys here to Google the number of residence halls. I don't know that off the top of my head. An
I believe it's
LLP,
exactly 50 now after Upper Quad North and South were built.
how many?
I believe it's 50 now exactly.
Okay. So what you have is within the living learning programs there, LLP stands for Living Learning Program or Living Learning Community. LLC, LLP are basically interchangeable. The two terms you may hear with that. So again, the other thing you want to consider for those that, and I assume most are looking at engineering on this call here, we do require within the College of Engineering and our SEED programs, those students who are receiving scholarships from the College of Engineering, we do require live in one of our living learning communities. And the reason we do that is, and as our tech students on the call here just alluded to, we want our scholarship students to have an experience where they have a support system around them such that you have the greatest chance of academic success, of becoming personally acclimated to campus, and particularly found with engineering, we do know that the first year of engineering is going to be a rather stressful year. So one of the things that we're concerned with right now is that how can you go through the common experience where you have the most support around you? The reason you hear our students talk so much about LLPs or LLCs is that you will have the experience of students who are across the hall or down the hall, all going through the same experiences and much of the same classes together. So I see we're getting comments on there. So my guys, feel free to answer those individually. We see some questions related to Pritchard and dining plans, and I will get to these topics here in just a second. The next question I want to pose to our group of students here is how did you go about the roommate selection process? And there are different strategies and ways to do that. So again, I'll just put that out there saying, hey, and I'll start with Nolan, if you're kind of my go-to lead us off here. Just describe a little bit of the roommate selection process there, because as Rhett mentions, there are different ways you can go about it. We just want you to be aware of all the different approaches you can look at.
Yeah, so about the roommate situation, there are several options. I know you can create so one option, if you know someone, and you know that either you're gonna be in the same LLC, or you're just both not in LLCs and you want a room together, you can create a roommate group, I'm pretty sure it's called, on the housing contract. And I don't know when the date is for incoming freshmen, but there will be a period after you sign the initial housing contract. I think last year was in like mid-June, I want to say, when it opens up to you can select your roommates. So you'll get this like big list of like just possible residence halls and rooms that you can choose. If you're in an LLC, that's going to be restricted. I only had access to, I think, like 30 or so rooms in Digerati, or like, I don't know, I think that was like 20. But then, so if you have a roommate group, then you can invite your roommate to that room and you guys can kind of coordinate that to get the same room together. What I ended up doing, I ended up just having a random roommate. I just put my name down in one of the rooms and whoever put it down to the person who put it down the next is my roommate. Which there's nothing wrong with either option. On like having a random roommate, you do kind of run the risk of like not really knowing the person beforehand. But if you're in an LLC, I don't really think that's a big issue because you're gonna have common interests no matter what. You know that coming in a lot of the time.
What's up Wednesday on housing?
Sorry, what was that?
I think we're good. Go ahead, Nolan.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything bad with either option. I got a random roommate. We get together, we get along just fine. He's a pretty cool guy. Yeah, no, I don't really think that's about it. Any y'all
I
want to add
can
on?
add on to that for sure. For the roommate selection process, I know it was a little, I guess, not really tricky, but it took a little while because how the process works, you have to wait until they open up your process of getting a roommate. And also, I remember I had conflicts with trying to get my friends that I knew were also going to tech to be my roommate because when I applied to the LLC, I never knew that you had to have your friends also be in that community to be your roommate. So if you're looking to be in an LLC, but also room with someone that you know, you should be sure to have both of y'all in the same community. Otherwise, they won't physically allow you to room together because it's only for an LLC. Also, a good thing to know about the selection is how I did it. I did it random because I honestly could not, it was hard for me to honestly know who it was without knowing my friends on campus. But as Nolan said, when you're in a community, a lot of people are really nice and really chill too. Not to mention, when you get through the process, you can choose your preferences as to what you want to do or who you like your roommate to be with, such as like how long you want to stay up or when you go to bed, how loud you may be, stuff like that. Like if you're a night owl like me, like which is like up to like 3 in the morning, you can choose a roommate that's the exact same, and y'all would honestly get by really well. So it's definitely preference based, and also if you know someone, you should coordinate. Let just plan out specifically if y'all can do the things together and not just roommates, so you won't run into any conflicts.
Extending that, you have to set up a profile for your actual selection of a roommate. You can put in preferences such as how tidy you want the room to be, the hours you'll go to sleep at, and such. Um, Overall, you have a process of choosing a room. It's either you have a roommate group or you just choose a room and hope for the best with whoever you get on random. I particularly got a pretty good match, but it's always up to chance if you don't know who you're going in with. You can also look at their profiles to see if you're a good match as a roommate. So make sure you look at that beforehand. Very important to see where the overlap is and if any significant difference exists. Try to account for that before selecting the room.
Yeah, so beforehand, even before you're even assigned a time slot to select your room, because you're given a time slot. It depends on when you submit your housing contract. That's why I say do it before everyone else. Gives you a pretty big step up. You fill out a profile. It's not necessarily not all. I don't think all of it's required. Or I think it has been a while, but you're allowed to like put yourself into like to be searchable as a roommate, like mark that you're looking for a roommate. And for instance, when I was looking for a roommate, I could actually see the list of people of who was looking for a roommate. I could see their interests, their preferences, what time to go to bed. So my strategy when I pick my roommate is I actually look through the bed. So I actually submitted my housing application, I think way before pretty much anyone. So it was just me when the time slot came. So I waited until people put themselves in the room and I could see their profiles, what time they went to bed, what were their interests before I actually put myself into that room. I'm at a point now though, you will come to realize that there's only like a couple things that really matter when for a roommate. You don't have to be, let's say, best friends forever. You just I'm okay with anyone that just goes to bed at the same time as me and is reasonably quiet. As I said, these decisions aren't going to have life-altering impacts. Just choose something you believe won't have too much of a drawback. Don't look for like your soulmate because it's probably not going to happen. Like for instance, in Digerati, we have I think 60 next semester. The odds that between these 60 people, all 30 are going to find perfect matches it's not very probable. So just look for something that seems reasonable and go with it.
We do have a question on the roommate search from Shree, and I'm hoping one of my guys here could help with that. I'm not for certain when that profile opens up for the roommate search. If somebody can help, does anyone know when that is?
Have you
Yeah, I think
accepted
I
Jack?
think
Posted.
I think
Oh.
it's gonna be June. I think that's what it was last time, because I remember, because I came to STEP, like the summer program, and I know it was before STEP. Um, yeah, I want to say it was like after school guys. Yeah, I want to say like mid-June last year. I don't know what's gonna open this year, but I'd assume it's around the same time.
You're thinking of when you actually got to select your roommate. The actual like search when you got to like start the profile and like meet people
Oh, the actual,
beforehand.
oh, are you talking
That
about, yeah.
that's open as soon as you sign your housing contract. You can make a profile
Yeah,
and
that's
see
part
other
of the
people that may
contract,
search you.
yeah.
We did have a question earlier I didn't want to overlook, specific to Pritchard, and obviously we're people on the call are experts on it. But someone asked about like if you're choosing a room, the preferable rooms to look for, and I'm hoping I know my guys here can probably have an opinion on what would be preferable rooms.
So I didn't know this because I was actually talking to the Girardi Lounge. I was hanging out with people. They're like, the end rooms are better. And so like I mean, they're bigger. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it turns out they kind of are slightly bigger. So if you're looking, you want to have like the slightly bigger room on the floor. I don't think when you actually select your room, it like shows you where it's like located on the floor. I think it's just like an array of numbers. But uh, you can kind of guess based off the numbers where it will be. Um, I try to not say I don't know if there's anything like floor plans. I know that tech is very hesitant on giving out floor plans. But the only room that I would advise against is probably the one right next to the bathroom. Well, Nolan actually lives in the room right next to the bathroom. Nolan,
Yeah,
so
it's not
what's
that
your
bad.
opinion on that?
No, yeah, it like I'd say the worst one is probably the one right next to the bathroom. It's I don't even like that doesn't bother me at all. I'm I'll sit in there doing my work. It's not loud. Um, yeah, no, even when they're like blaring music in there, I can barely hear it. It's not that bad at all.
Just to chime in, I can definitely hear it. So I would advise not to not to go near it if you can. The end ones are definitely suited best. But if you just don't really know, and honestly, I wasn't able to like see it like a map, so I just had to like just guess. So the end ones are best, but if you don't really, if you get somewhere in the middle, it's not that bad, honestly.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you hear is just like we live in our own neighborhoods right now. Everyone's living preferences are different, and I think the guys have made a good point. What somebody can block out and tune out, the next person may not be able to. So you do want to do a little bit of thought on your own of what you're looking for in terms of the ideal environment, knowing that the ideal environment probably is not fully available on a college campus. You are living in a space, a communal space with a lot of people, and a lot of people bring a lot of different, um, you know, idiosyncrasies to the table there. Certainly, and I think the guys have made a good point. You can look at message boards and things like Reddit and some of those and get some information, but always take that with a grain of salt that you're hearing one person's perspective there. And it's always good to look at what you're looking for, in terms of the campus, as was noted. Yeah, you may look at Pritchard and say, well, that's far away from where classes are. Yes, but it's also close to where a dining hall is. So there's always going to be some pros and cons. One of the things I personally like about Pritchard is access to the street there. So there's some dining or some residence halls are kind of buried within multiple buildings. Pritchard, you can kind of pull right up to, at least if you were picking up or dropping off, is right there. So I think there's some again, pros and cons. Getting a good map, as Christian alluded to. You may not be able to readily find the floor plans out there of every space, but even so, you can kind of get a sense of the building in the maps of where the layout is. Um, we're at 6:30, so about halfway through, and as the topic suggested, we were looking at both housing and dining. So by all means, continue to post any questions you have on housing to the chat as we're doing that. Um, um, and I will transition into dining here in a second. I did want to touch on one more housing topic before we moved on. Is on the Virginia Tech campus, you will see some residence halls that have air conditioning and some that don't. Pritchard, again, where our engineering community's theme housing will be, does not have air conditioning. For many students and many families, that is something that's a red flag. Obviously, we're all used to being in predominantly air-conditioned spaces. However, I think it's good to also recognize that our students who are on the call today are living without air conditioning, and certainly will probably be able to share what their experience is. So I asked my guys here if you'll talk a little bit about living in no air conditioning and kind of your strategies for managing your comfort in the building.
Oh, it's fine. Like there's really no need to worry about living with no air conditioning. I'd say best advice I can give you, just bring 2 box fans. Put one going in, one going out on each end of the window. You'll be fine.
For me, I'd say once you get past summer, you'll be fine. But like those, like the summer days, which is like from summer to fall, is going to be pretty hot in my opinion. And it's easy for like, I guess, your room or like halls to kind of just get hot or maybe sometimes stuffy. So how I managed it is like he said, you can definitely get like box fans on your window. You're allowed to like open your window and just put fans that can circulate air not only to your room but also out. And alongside that, I also just have like a personal fan right beside my bed for when I get too hot. But I feel like it only really is trivial during the initial months of like the fall. But once you get more into like your like colder fall and winter, it's honestly everyone will put those things away and just close their windows. And at that point, it's just a nice cozy dorm and you just kind of work it out from there.
Yeah, like Joe said, like for the first probably month, probably up till the end of September, it can get pretty hot in the rooms. But after that, me and my roommate mostly just leave our windows open. We usually don't even have the fans on because it's fine temperature wise. So once you make it through that first month, you'll be fine.
One question I want to pose and trying to keep track of time here, and it also occurred to me that we should talk about loft configurations because I can imagine those family members are trying to figure what students need to have in terms of sleeping arrangements and what's best in the room. Could you all touch on a little bit how you think how you've done your loft configuration and things that new students should consider as they're planning that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember when I first got here, my parents were trying to convince me because for your loft, if when you loft your bed, it means you have your actual like bed on the high side, like close to the ceiling. And so you have a lot of space underneath your bed frame as well as beside it, which tech will provide a desk. But for me, I'd say always go your gut feeling because I actually had to do that in the summer and that honestly sucked. Even when I had space, I hated like coming all the way up and having to like just climb my way down or sort of like jump. And I personally am not too like I'm not too good with heights. So that was a little annoying at first. So when I came to the fall, I knew that even if I didn't have enough space, I just like just getting out of bed and not having to like work my way down. But it always depends on preference. And so all I say is just trust your gut and just envision if you'd like to honestly do something that's high, because a lot of people do, and they love the space underneath it too. but at the same time, it's just a compromise for which one you prefer, is either space or just height.
Yeah, to add on to that, what you typically will see most people doing is you'll have the bed up high and then underneath you'll have the desk and some, just a lot of most of the other personal stuff. That's the way most people do it. If you don't like it, you can unloft the bed, like put it down low and put the desk off to the side. I will say though, it can get pretty crowded if you both decide to do that. Like if you have both people beds unlofted, you got to find a place to put 2 desks, and you have the fridge and the cat, like in the closet and everything, and the sink. I for a brief period, me and my roommate unlofted his bed, put his desk off to the side. That worked just fine. But yeah, like I would not have been able to unlock my bed at that point. It would have been really, really crowded. So I'd recommend lofting it, but if you don't want to, I mean, just go with your gut, like you said.
Yeah, I have to say I'm on Team Lofted. Mainly so I'm a very heavy sleeper, and obviously when I have classes in the morning, I need to wake up to go to these classes. So I actually have an alarm clock. That it goes under my pillow and it vibrates, so it kind of like shakes me awake, and it's also silent, so my roommate doesn't really hear it. And the thing is I can put like the actual like the thing that causes this little like ball to vibrate under my head down below the loft, so I kind of have to like actually I have to like climb down and kind of do some physical activity to wake up for these classes. So for me, I guess it was more of like a strategic thing, and also I just can't visualize how I would put my desk if this wasn't lofted. There's also where I would like to say that if you are fairly tall, probably if you're above like 5 feet, get a pool noodle. Nolan actually has a very tall roommate that I'm sure was hitting his head all the time on the lofted bed. I'm not even that tall, and I keep hitting my head on the lofted bed. So pool noodles, highly recommend.
So in the time we have left, I want to transition a little bit to dining. And we had a few comments earlier just asking about dining plans. I think there was universal agreement that you're really good if you go with the small plan or a medium or something, and then you can always add on to it. Um, Certainly, I think it would be good to talk about how the process of managing a dining plan works for those of you coming in. How you select a dining plan. We heard the term, I think Alex used it earlier, the hokey pass or the hokey pee. So that may be a term you're not familiar with, but it's very common. You hear a lot of text. So Nolan, I'll kind of get you to kick this off again and go. We'll make the round again. Your dining plan selection. Any comments you have about lessons learned in doing a dining plan or dining on campus that you would recommend to this group?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have severe food allergies, so I almost eat pretty much exclusively on campus. Just because it's easiest and it's allergy friendly. I would say, like they said in the chat earlier, definitely pick the lowest option. My experience, and my mom did a lot of Facebook research on this before I came to tech. But yeah, always go with the lowest plan. I forget how much it is. I want to say $800. And just add on to it from there. So like once you get down to like $50 on it, add more money on, and just keep going, because that money it'll transfer between semesters. So if you're at the end of the first semester, that money is still going to be available to use in the spring. However, if I were to run it, like if I were to finish this semester up with $100 left on it, then that $100 just goes to dining. So that's $100 wasted. So definitely just start low, add on when you need to. I'd say don't be afraid to spend money. Like, don't go crazy, but at the same time, don't really worry about the costs all that much. Because with a dining plan, does it, Christian? I heard it doesn't transfer. between
No,
the
it doesn't transfer from spring to fall.
Yeah,
So-
no, it won't.
So if you like, that email confused me. I don't even know if Perry knows the answer to this. But like it said, like it's going to fade away. And like kind of a bullet point says if you are not graduate, it said flex editions and flex dollars.
Well, there's flex editions and dining dollars. The flex editions you have to add onto a meal plan, and those will get you 50% off at the dining halls. So like if I were to go into like, West End right now, one of the dining halls on campus, and use my like flex dollars that I have on like the Hokie Passport, then that'll be 50% off from whatever I buy. Which is why it's best to start low and continuously have money on when you need it, because it's going to be cheaper that way anyway. Yeah, so there's that, and then there's dining dollars, which you can just add on however many you want, but that doesn't have a discount to it. So if I were to go into that same dining hall and pay with dining dollars instead of like flex dollars or like flex editions, then something that's like $12, let's say, I would like, it would cost $12, whereas with the like flex dollars, it would cost $6 plus tax.
Okay, so I think based off, so flex editions do not expire. They still carry over.
No, they both expire after the
Yeah,
After
both of them
the-
expire.
No,
yeah,
because this
so if you
email
have a
says,
dining plan after the spring semester and you still got money on it, that money's going to dining.
well, the email they sent out earlier said flex edition, dining dollars, and Hokie Passport account funds do not expire on May 8th unless you are graduating.
That is not what I heard. I don't know.
Because they sent out an email about dining like 2 days ago.
Well, and I think just to say, when you're looking at this from a new student, understand that you're going to be learning in your first year. One of the things you can look at in the dining plans, there are pretty good access online. One of the things you can also see in terms of the plans, the menus are actually posted online. So as Nolan mentioned, with allergies, you can find if you have requirements based on faith-based requirements, you can find information on that as well. So again, generally speaking, rule of thumb is you can go with a basic plan, a small plan, and always add on to it. Those are things you can be tracking there. Again, the other thing to mention is if you have any concerns over affording meal plans or things like that, there are support options at Tech that can be available through the Dean of Students office and some of those, and certainly we at Seed certainly can be a resource as well. I will routinely ask my students, how are you out with your dining plan, things like that, because I just want to know, again, this time of year, we can see some of those balances start to run a little bit low, and somebody may not be tracking those balances, and then suddenly, wait, I need more money put on the plan. You can do that, but it's also good just to keep track of where you're at there. One of the things I wanted to ask and go around the horn here with all of our folks, there are different dining options on campus. So you can go everything from a kind of an all-you-can-eat place in D2 to coffee shops to even some chain-related stores like Dunkin' Donuts or Pizza Hut or Chick-fil-A that you're useful to. So going around the horn, and I'll go ahead since Nolan's had a lot. I'll go to Joe here actually. Joe, let's talk a little bit about kind of your go-to places and some of the places you've liked eating on campus and kind of how you approach the variety of places on campus.
Cool. All right. So how I see it, I don't ever honestly go to D2. I don't do buffet styles, mainly because there's a lot. Is, I think, ranked third in like the most like ranked food that people like in from every single college on the US. So their food is good here. There is nothing bad about the food normally. Well, some things you can preference more. for example, there's many dining halls such as West End that's close to Pritchard. There's dining halls, if you look on your map, that's across the drill field on the academic side, such as like Turner's, and even close to it, like Hokie Grove, where you have Dunkin' Donuts and Chick-fil-A, Pizza Hut, and things like that. It's a lot more versatile and tends towards to like helping you get food on the go or when you need a break from just studying or from classes. A lot of times, a lot of the dining halls are in the path, like they're the actual like direct path of classes. So you can just veer off, get something to eat, pay for it half off, and then continue on your way. For me, I know my favorite place is Turner's, which is on the academic side of campus, because there's the housing in the drill field and then academics, and Turner's is on the academics, and they have a lot of really good variety of foods that honestly I go to like every single day when I'm all the way there for my classes, and it helps a lot. And I sometimes don't find myself having much time to just sit and eat, so you can just grab and go. So that's a huge theme for a lot of the dining halls on campus.
Other
Uh,
go-to places, and I'll make one quick note here I didn't touch on earlier. And Brett, I'll go to you next on your kind of your take on good places to eat. But the Hokie Passport, no one mentions the app that you have and things like that. You have a Hokie Passport, which is basically your tech ID card. And the Hokie Passport is what you're going to be swiping when you go through these dining halls. And so just like you're scanning a credit card or something like that, that's what you would be doing. Joe mentions definitely echoes getting Grubhub because you are seeing that in some of the ordering places you can do. And again, so you've got some options that are not unique to tech, but that tech has embraced that you can do. Rhett, what's your take on things if that you like to eat at?
Personally, my favorite restaurant is D2. It's the one that's right next to Pritchard. It's really convenient. I like to go in there and like pull up a TV show and just hang out in there for 40 minutes, get some dessert, get plenty of food. But if it's like a busy night where I've got homework and I can't afford to just lounge around in the buffet, I never feel like I'm limited in options. I always feel like I have something unique to eat. There's also DX, which is in the same building as D2, right next to Pritchard, and they're open till 2 in the morning. So really great for late night snacks, especially if you're studying. Um, I think my second to D2 is probably Owens. It's kind of like a food court style. They've got a bunch of different restaurants in there you can choose from, and they've got some really good quality food in there too.
I so I have a very different experience with dining. I I go to the gym a lot. I work out a lot, so I eat a lot, and I try to eat healthy, or I try to eat very restrictive. I actually use Virginia Tech offers nutrition counseling. I take the nutrition counseling. So my life has actually been kind of restricted to like grilled chicken, and grilled salmon, which are phenomenal on this campus. My favorite place is West End. It's I think the second closest place besides the Dietrich building, which houses D2. They're probably for me the best dining place on campus. You can get a variety of foods. They have a chop house. There's very nice selection of meats that I mean they're like cooked on the spot. Um, that would be my favorite place.
It's also worth noting that there is a new dining hall that will be open next year called Perry Place. I'm actually rather excited about this because it shares my name. I also personally know the manager of Perry Place very well, so I'm fully expecting to get all kinds of merch from Perry Place. But Perry Place is actually be located pretty close to the engineering buildings. So as you heard about, I guess it's Turner over that's going to be near a lot of where the engineering classes are. So too will Perry Place. If you have classes in Goodwin Hall, it'll be located right there. Um, years ago, that was one of the biggest challenges at Tech is that your dining halls and your classes were kind of on separate parts of campus. And Tech has actually done a rather good job of changing that in recent years. And there's even on occasion, you'll see some food trucks that are on campus that are hosted by Dining at Tech. So keep that in mind as well. I'll also mention that there are some places in downtown Blacksburg that will take a Hokie passport. So you can actually go some places there in addition to what you're using with your normal bank card or credit card. There is something like that. So and Christian makes a good point. There is the residential academic side, but yeah, the new dining halls do make that much more convenient. We have about 7 minutes left here, and I'm going to change it up just slightly to wrap up here. What I want to do is give you all time. Is there any question we have not covered, or a question you're afraid to ask that you're comfortable putting in chat or something like that related to the dining or housing on campus? We certainly have time here to answer those. If you want to put those into the chat, we would certainly welcome that. As you're thinking about that question and put it in the chat, very quickly, I want to go around the horn, and I'll actually start with Alex because I'd love to hear what he says. I want to know, Alex, the best thing you have eaten at Virginia Tech, your favorite food. And you may be on mute, Alex. Let's see, Christian, let's go to you. Alex maybe froze there.
I would say a bacon burgers, but I can't say which bacon burger is my favorite.
Okay. Nolan.
That is a difficult question. I gotta say, one thing I just discovered that I just ordered on Grubhub for after this. They have quesadillas at West End, steak quesadillas, with peppers, cilantro, steak and cheese in them. Once again, just discovered this. They are very good. Yeah, pretty much anything at West End, you really can't go wrong. They have oven baked pizza, with this steak that's literally made right there. Yeah, it's great.
Joe, favorite thing you've had?
My favorite thing is I think I honestly got this today, shoot. On at Turner's, they have this place called Qdoba, which is like pretty much a Chipotle, but you get half off and uh it's honestly delicious. You can see them prep all the steaks, the chicken, the food, and you can get certain bowls or burritos or even nachos if you're really into that. And I think that's probably the best one if not the best place in my opinion on campus. So you can get some lunch and dinner.
Yeah. Rhett, how about you? Favorite food you've had since you've been at Tech?
This is no competition. One of the restaurants in Owens Hall had a Chinese New Year meal. It was a bunch of food for the same price as a normal meal, but it was one of the best things I've had. It was a super tender pork chop. It came with like a little slice of cake, and it was just amazing.
I'll weigh in on this because hold on 1 second here. I think we got somebody. Let's see, can I?
You're
Very, you're
muted.
still good.
We eat at D2 for summer pathways camp, and so they have a chocolate cake with I think like crumbled Oreos or something on it, and I every now and then I will go to dessert first to be sure no one gets my piece of cake. And I've done that plenty of times in D2. So I just want to say, if you like sweet tooth, you can find really good milkshakes on campus, smoothies. There's some really good places, and some of the baked goods are really good as well. So I'll put in a plug for that. I see we're getting at 6:57. To keep these to an hour. So I'll do kind of a last call for questions here. Manisha, I see your question on meal plans available to purchase right now. Yeah, Christian's got you there on the housing contract process. You get kind of step by step what you need to select there. So again, I mentioned the Star Res system. That is something that you'll navigate. One thing I will tell you that I find that some families overlook as they're accepting admission to tech. Check your email regularly. You will get emails from tech, and you will get a lot. And you really do need to be up on watching your emails, particularly the emails that you have tech communicating with. And in particular, once you get your VT email, tech will be communicating via your VT email. So I say this to note that a lot of times I do see incoming students who say, I never got that email, never got the email. Well, if your go-to email is a Gmail account out there, tech is going to start sending it to your tech email once it's set up. So really be astute to monitoring all of your email accounts as you're getting acclimated to tech, and as you're getting things related to move in, as your dining plans, anything like that. Just be watching those emails, because that will, the emails will start fairly frequent. At least on the Star Res system, I'm able to see like when emails have been viewed or when they haven't been viewed. If you're applying to the LLC programs, again, I represent the Digerati community. Certainly I can see and welcome to communicate with you as you have any questions. Joe makes a good point. If you're on summer, D's the only one that's open. Get your passport straight away. That is absolutely the thing that you'll need to keep up with. Most students will kind of keep that on their phone or a place very accessible, because it's how you swipe into buildings. It's how you pay for things. Basically, it's your pass card for everything. So just be prepared that that's going to be rather important of you. And I will also say, you will get, as you go through tech and get your picture made for your Hokie passport, by the time you're out of tech, you will be laughing at the picture that you look like when you first came into tech, because you will change. I still have one of my Hokie passport still has one of my young pictures, and I find it hilarious to go back and look at it. So it's one of those rites of passage into college. We are at 7 o'clock right now, honoring everyone's schedule and homework schedules. I think we may even have a calc test for some people coming up tomorrow here at Tech. I'm going to wrap it up here, but I do want to thank our Digerati folks. Give one last plug. If you like kind of the vibe you got from our guests tonight, certainly check us out in Digerati. I want to especially thank Nolan, Joe, Rhett, Christian, and Alex for joining us tonight and representing Digerati and representing the student perspective of housing and dining at Virginia Tech. As we always share, if you have any questions throughout, Dr. Lester, who you see here, you're always welcome to send a question. We will do best we can to answer those and at least point you in the right direction if we don't know the answer to it. Kim, is there anything else you want to wrap up with to close us out on our series of What's Up Wednesdays?
I don't think so. I think the housing and dining, the only people that can really answer those questions well, you got to have the students answering them, because they're the ones that live it. So we don't. So I appreciate them being on tonight to really give you that student perspective. And in all the things that we've done, we've tried to make sure that it's not just the university talking at you, that you're really getting what it's like to live here. We all know the academics are awesome, but we really want to make sure that that the other half of your life is being a social, emotional, physical human being. So we want to make sure we cover those bases as well. Christian, go ahead.
I just want to make one last note that when you come to Tech, you are in charge of what you do, how much you spend. I see so many people and you know they're eating ice creams every day. They're making, obviously these people are going to burn through their dining plan quickly. You have to be smart and realize that, you know, you're separated from your parents. You're here. You're with your peers. You have to make smart decisions, and it will be a substantial change. I'm not saying it's a bad change. I'm saying that it will be a substantial change. I hope you look forward to it, and I wish you luck.
Yeah. And I'll also echo that. And as you're making those decisions, know that you're surrounded by other people making those decisions as well. And so it is an opportunity for you to know that you're not alone. And you can always ask questions of your peers, ask questions of support staff like Dr. Lester and I, of things that help you navigate college. This whole series of What's Up Wednesdays has been an opportunity to really, you know, peel back the curtain on what to expect next year. And so hope you've benefited from it. And again, do appreciate everyone joining us tonight. Thank you all again.
Thanks,
And
guys.
have a good evening.